history, business, technical writing, format, genre, piece. So we're going to continue with the proposal sort of genre with this new proposal. So I want to show you what this proposal is. We'll look at what a proposal is again, and then we'll look at what I'm asking you to learn this week. So step one is, who's our audience, right? What are we being asked to propose? So the city of Seattle, the Office of Arts and Culture, right, has put out a call for proposals for arts and culture at King Street Station. Right, King Street Station is a real station. It's on King Street in downtown Seattle. It's in the ID, International District, Chinatown. And the city of Seattle wants to sort of celebrate this space. And it wants to celebrate it by bringing in proposals for art and exhibitions and poetry readings and all sorts of things. So you have access to these links in the assignment this week. But take a look at, we'll just sort of go through this. So what are they asking for? Okay, so I'll sort of go with your proposal, right? Remember, a proposal is you're submitting an idea to be considered, and then you're asking for money. So they want you to propose, and it's very open. You can propose an art exhibit, a performance. Right? A performance is very broad. A literary reading, a poetry reading, a lecture, a movie screening, a reading group, a debate, live figure drawing, right? Where you bring in artists and you sketch people, or any combination of any of these. Okay? That's what this proposal is. They're asking you to have an idea, right? So there's a creative part of this, right? What is your idea? How are you going to bring something to this art space, right? King Street Station. So it's very open. I'll give you two examples of this, right? Let's say I want to propose a zine making workshop. That's it, right? So a zine making workshop is, I'm going to teach my audience how to make little books. And zines historically they often are on the topics of centering marginalized viewpoints. They're often anti-capitalist, anti-corporate, anti-copyright. Right? So they're free. They're meant to spread information on sort of, less known or less popular topics, underground but this is extremely open. You can do anything. Okay? It really just has to meet um, King Street Station's call. So let's take a look at this a little bit more specifically. So they're asking for, oh, there is a funding part of this, right? So you need to request some dollar amount, and it should be reasonable. It should make sense. So, for example, I'm teaching a zine making workshop. I need paper and scissors and other supplies, right? So I might request $250 for arts, paper, printing, right? I might even have a printer on site, right? 250. If you're bringing in, poets from the community, you might request $500 to pay these poets. Does that make sense? But you need to justify the money request. So there is a funding component to this. Evaluation criteria, right? So remember, your proposal needs to meet the needs and values and mission of the grantor agency, right? Which is the City of Seattle Arts and Culture, Arts at King Street Station mission, right? This is an anti-racist organization. They really speak to intersectional practices. They really want to center communities of color, marginalized identities. Does that make sense? So your proposal needs to speak to that in some way. You should use their language, obviously. So I would go through their evaluation criteria and how are you meeting their language, their needs, their mission, their call here. So, right, I can answer that very easily, right? Okay. My zine making workshop, right? Zines historically are anti-corporate, anti-capitalist. They speak to marginalized voices. They're small scale. They're meant to spread information and have folks teach each other about alternative viewpoints, right? And that really speaks to an anti-racist practice. Okay, great, I'm done, right? Or I want to, bring in and center young contemporary Asian American poets, right? And their experiences. That's an anti-racist practice, right? I want these poets to really speak to their community. I want to bring them in. Okay, great. Representation, obviously, you speak on your own behalf and from your own point of view, right? So I could speak to, the queer experience. So if I'm speaking, that's what I would speak directly. Accessibility. How is your event or exhibit or zine making workshop or whatever you're proposing artistically or creatively, how is it accessible? Okay, I'm proposing a zine making workshop. I'm going to have various sized fonts for people to be able to read. If I'm doing a print it out so people can read it and people can hear it too, right? I want them to have different modes and mediums to receive the information to be accessible to everybody. Does that make sense? So you need to speak to accessibility. You need to speak to their mission. Okay? Great. So, right, you can look at the actual application. I've given us sort of our Canvas version is sort of a simplified version. You can absolutely go all the way and submit to the real application, right? This is due this weekend. They also keep pushing their deadline back, so it's sort of open. It's sort of open. The Canvas version, right? I'm just asking for a more simplified version submitted to Canvas, but you can go all the way. You can go above and beyond and actually submit and apply for this. You don't have to. I'm just saying, give me the Canvas version, but then you can go all the way if you want to. Let's just take a moment to reflect and go back to well, what is a proposal, right? So let's take a second, right? Remember, a proposal is you're proposing an idea. It's a document. It's a type of writing that requests support, usually money, sometimes resources, for work that the proposer wants to do. Okay? What makes a proposal? A proposal is that it asks the audience, right? City of Seattle, Arts and Culture, King Street Station, to approve, fund, or grant permission to do the proposed project, right? So I'm proposing, a zine making workshop, and I'm looking for $250 to put this event on. Okay, that's my proposal. Right? Proposals are really big in industry and business. For example, if you plan to be a consultant or run your own business, written proposals may be one of your most important tools in business. If you work for government or nonprofit or even a large corporation, the proposal is a real valuable tool for initiating projects. It's used across industry. There's different types of proposals, internal or external. What's more important for me is that we're writing a solicited